Hi everybody, good afternoon. Lovely to meet you all. I am Natalia Sanders. I am an online business manager and I am based just outside Bristol. And this afternoon I am going to be sharing some tips. Participant requested live transcription. Yeah, some tips to maintain and improve your focus. Okay, so I'm going to be talking to you personally how you can improve your own focus, but also how you can help your team, if you have one, to improve their focus and therefore boost their productivity. There we go. So I'm going to start by talking about distractions. Distractions are now part of our daily life. The irony is I was just getting distracted then by a pop-up as I'm talking to you. From social media to life admin, to meetings, to your inbox, to text messages, it can feel like the constant stream of to-dos never ends. And this is having a hugely negative, detrimental effect on our ability to focus and remain productive. A 2022 survey of nearly 2,000 office workers in the UK found that the average employee was productive for approximately 2 hours and 53 minutes each day. And I would just like you to ask yourself, does that ring true for you? If you work a 7-8 hour day, maybe a 4 hour day, just to have about 25% focus is not going to be boosting your productivity and getting you to where you need to be in your business goals and aims. And for a lot of us, we may find that we perhaps have one productive day a week. And I'd like to encourage you to really reflect this lunchtime on how you work. So are you the sort of person who is really go, go, go on a Monday? Or is a Friday afternoon your focus time? Because we will have a lot of habits in the way that we work. And that's something I'm going to ask you to reflect on towards the end of my presentation. Obviously, over the past 2 years with COVID and lockdowns, productivity has evolved as working patterns have had to reform. The most important thing to consider is how your focus and productivity are linked to your work output and enjoyment. I see quite a lot the words focus and productivity thrown around on social media and in business forums. And actually enjoyment, I really believe should be in there, because if we enjoy what we're doing, we're far more likely to stay focused and be more productive. Because when those two things are aligned, we all work with ease and flow. Every quarter, the Office of National Statistics in the UK do a survey and they create a flash estimate, a flash look at some data. And they looked from January to March at productivity, and they found that overall productivity has remained 1.9% up on pre-pandemic levels. However, that is largely similar to pre-pandemic, so 2009 to 2019. It probably isn't a massive surprise that in 2000 that changed quite a lot. The output per worker grew 0.5% in Q1, leaving it 1.6% above pre-coronavirus pandemic levels. So our work output is continuing to be higher than it was pre-pandemic. And productivity growth was supported by falls in hours worked in major industries compared with 2019. So even though productivity is growing, hours that have been worked are changing. And I think with a lot of us moving to hybrid working, and the talk of the 4-day week, all that sort of thing, I thought that just ties in quite nicely here into that discussion around productivity and how many days people are in and working. Just gonna make this smaller, there we go. So why is focus so important at work? Focus is the ability to concentrate on one task at a time and avoid distractions, as we know. It is often not given as much recognition as other business traits, such as leadership or motivation, but it is vital to succeed in all aspects of business, whether you are starting out as an apprentice or you're CEO. Without focus, we cannot achieve. Focus is so important because it's the gateway to all of our thinking, to perception, to memory, to learning, reasoning, problem solving, and of course, decision making. And by supporting our team's ability to focus, we are in turn boosting their productivity output and hopefully their enjoyment of work. So the main thing that I'm asked, or that I'm here to talk to you today, is to share some tips on how you improve your focus. Now, some of them are going to be things that you think, oh gosh, yeah, that's so obvious, or oh, that's the sort of thing I think about, but I never actually put into practice. So I'm hoping that throughout this chat, there's a couple of light bulbs that might go off for you. Please do take some notes, and I've got time for questions at the end. So focus is largely about your mental capacity to keep your concentration at any one time. So it's vital to look after this mental awareness. If you are looking after yourself physically and mentally, your ability to focus will be improved. So there's basic things that we can do as humans to help boost our focus, such as getting enough sleep, ensuring that we're drinking enough water, eating a healthy, varied diet. Practicing meditation comes up quite a lot in recommendations, and ensuring that we balance that with rest. In particular, scientists think that regular exercise may help stimulate the release of a chemical called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which some research suggests helps rewire memory circuits to improve their functioning. There's lots of theories, and I've linked those, and I know Saoirse will send the slides around afterwards so that you can read those studies. Lots of studies into how physical movement boosts your brain and therefore in turn your ability to focus. If you are in the habit of constantly sitting at your desk 9 to 5 days a week, slouching at a laptop, perhaps working on the move, you're not giving your body what it needs to be able to support you to focus properly. Any sort of physical exercise, ones that come up in these study in particular are things like swimming, walking, running, lots of aerobic activity can really help boost those brain neurons that in turn will allow you to focus better. So focusing on yourself, looking after yourself, eating well, making sure you're getting minimum 7 hours sleep a night, these things really help you focus at work. It's so easy to think, oh, I'm tired tonight, I'm not going to do any exercise, or I'm not going to go for a walk at lunchtime, for example, because I could be getting that next thing done. Whereas actually, you're stopping yourself having that focus to be able to do things to the best of your ability by not investing in that time that you need. So I'm going to share a couple more bits here. A tip that comes up quite a lot in this topic is to declutter your mind.
You listen to it through the phone. I'm just leaving it on next to the thing.
If you could put yourself on mute, please, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Declutter your mind before you approach a work task. So before starting your tasks, take them out of your mind and write them into a list. So you know that thing when you're getting ready in the morning, you're making coffee and you think, oh yes, I must do that. Or you look at your diary, you've got 5 slots in there, but you know that there's 8 tasks you need to do that day. Take them out of your mind and physically get them onto a piece of paper. It could be a post-it note on your computer. It could be in your notebook, your diary. But by lifting them out of your mind, it gives you a little bit of freed up space and you see them in front of you and you can ask yourself things such as, do I need to do all of these tasks myself? Can I delegate anything on my list? Do all of these things need to be done today? Or do I have all the information that I need to be able to complete this task right now? And if not, then they get moved to a different list. So they might get pushed till after lunch when you've spoken to somebody to get the info you need. They might need delegating, so they come off your list. But by being very proactive and quite organized with what is physically and literally needed to be done that day, you are helping to boost your focus and therefore your productivity. By carrying everything in your mind, all those little like speech bubbles and thoughts that pop up, oh, I must do that, I need to post that letter, I must reply to that email, I need to move Friday's meeting. All of that periphery of thought stops your brain from being able to focus on an in-depth task. So that is my first tip. I do that every single day. I use a digital calendar, which has everything in it, but I will still write things on a notebook and move everything around before I start work. I focus on one task at a time. I can't state it enough. Multitasking is the thief of focus. I feel like pre-pandemic, maybe 5 years ago, multitasking was a massive buzzword and something to shout about and be proud of. But actually, to boost your focus and therefore your productivity, you must allow yourself the space to breathe into one thing at a time. If you take one thing today, let it be that. Okay, creating a focused workspace. Obviously, if you're at Iconic, they've done this for you because they've got beautiful workspaces. But your workspace should boost your focus. And to do that, it should not be a cluttered space. Whether it is your kitchen table, designated office space, co-working space, it should not be cluttered with lots of bits of pieces of things that can distract your focus. It should be a quiet space. Whether you choose to listen to music or not, the space around you should not have lots of distractions. If possible, natural light is a brilliant thing to boost your focus. If you think our brains, as they focus, our eyes are super duper important here. So anything that can catch our eye and our periphery vision can be a real distraction. So it's not just about having a tidy desk, it's about setting up your workspace to physically allow your brain to concentrate. And that is a very, it's an organized thing, but it's something that we can do purposely. So with purpose and intention, if you're struggling to focus, look at where you are working and spend 10 to 20 minutes tidying it up. Remove anything that might catch your eye or distract you. Clear desks really help. When I started out in my own business, I called Clear Desk VA for a reason. They really do help you focus. If something is on your workspace, on your desk, and it doesn't have a specific function to help you to do your work, then it needs to be out of view. So it could be in a cupboard, a drawer, a file, a different room, but be really strict with yourself. And if this is something that you haven't tried, I'd really encourage you to do it for a week or a month. Even say the stack of unopened mail, if that is next to you, that is a little distraction. Every time you turn to see it, it makes you think, oh gosh, I need to get to that. And that is not the sort of positive thought that's going to boost your focus. I bet you thought I'd say this one, manage your technology. To boost your focus whilst you're working, you must make sure that all your notifications on your phone or your tablet are turned off. It's so easy to do. Turning off your notifications on your mobile phone is normally just a toggle on and off. It doesn't mean that you're in airplane mode, it could do, but it doesn't mean that you're completely uncontactable forever and ever, amen, because when you finish, you can just toggle them back on again. Some people get a bit funny about turning off their notifications. Of course, if you're someone's emergency contact, that's different. But here we're talking about allowing you to focus on some deep work for a few hours at a time. And mobile notifications can really distract you. Even just if it's on silent, just the flash of the screen out of the corner of your eye can be enough. Manage your desktop notifications on your computer. This is something that I need to do. I need to update mine because they're still pinging through every now and again. Just those little things in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, the inbox reminders, that kind of thing. Make sure those are off or on mute. Multitasking is not the best friend of focus. I've mentioned this before. And by removing any tech distractions, you're not allowing yourself to be interrupted or your focus broken by outside influences. So important. I never have social media notifications on my mobile phone, my personal phone or my work phone, because I know that they're going to interrupt me when I'm in the middle of something. So again, if you haven't tried that, I'd urge you to give it a go. It's really helpful and such a simple and quick thing to do. This one might be a bit controversial. To help boost your focus and your productivity, try a small amount of caffeine. So studies show that in moderate doses, caffeine may actually boost our focus, especially in those who are fatigued, those of us who are tired. Personally, I love a coffee in the morning. The only problem would be if you were having too much caffeine, but a small amount of caffeine, and I've linked the studies here, can really help to boost your focus, because caffeine is a stimulant and it boosts the body's central nervous system and the brain's production of neurochemicals. So that controls your ability to focus and maintain concentration. So a little bit of caffeine can be a good thing. It's okay to have 7 before 11, says Eddie. I don't think I could get away with saying yes to that, but you certainly wouldn't be alone if that was the case. Don't have any after midday. That's what they say, isn't it? I will switch to decaf in the afternoon. But I wanted to put that one in there. Take regular breaks. So as I said at the start, I'm speaking to you from just outside Bristol in England today, and it's absolutely glorious. And taking a regular break from my desk today would seem like quite an easy thing because of the sunshine. But I know that's not always the case. It certainly isn't here. But it's important to remember that staring at your screen with no break for hours on end does not help your focus. In fact, it's detrimental for your focus. So going for a stroll, getting some fresh air, changing your scenery, it allows your brain to rest before you then come back to refocus. So obviously there's loads of physical benefits that we all know of about fresh air and going for a walk, but just allowing your brain and your eyes to rest from the screen it's really beneficial for when you then come back to refocus. If you are unable to get outside for whatever reason, even having a stretch at your desk. On the internet, on YouTube, I think there are quite a lot of nice little bits of desk yoga that you could look into. Things like that, just resting your eyes on a different object or going to look out of the window for some natural light. It can make such a difference. And make the most of your lunch break. It's so easy to eat your lunch at your desk. I've definitely been guilty of it, but just taking some time away from your workspace, even if you can't get outside, going to sit somewhere else for your lunch, having a conversation with somebody, doesn't necessarily have to be about work, better if it's not, will just really boost your focus, because when you then come back to your workspace, you've had a proper break. Your brain's had a break, your eyes have had a break, you'll feel more comfortable, and it's better for you not to eat at your desk, etc., etc. So taking short, regular breaks is a really good tip to boost your focus. I wanted to share this Pomodoro method. I'm sure quite a lot of us have heard of it before. It's a famous time blocking method. It was spoken about a lot online during the pandemic. Lots of people follow it. I've got lots of business friends who find it really, really helpful. There's apps for it that can set off the alarms. Of course, you can set them on your computer or your phone. It is a positive notification. So the Pomodoro method is a time blocking technique that encourages you to compartmentalize your work into 25-minute intervals. So how it works is you would work on any given task for 25 minutes. And then after those 25 minutes, you would stop and you would take a 5-minute break. You might go and get a drink, pop to the loo, do a bit of stretching, and then come straight back and then start again for another 25 minutes. After that 25, you pause for 5, and so on. And you do that in 4 blocks, so 4 25-minute intervals. And after 4, you then take a longer break of around quarter of an hour to half an hour. That method of focused working has had an awful lot of success. There's loads of information and studies about it online if you wanted to read up on it. If you're somebody who finds that you work better in short bursts, or you've got the sort of to-do list in a day where you've got lots of little bits and pieces that you need to get done, I'd highly suggest trying this out. It's really beneficial, and it's one of those, for me, the time goes so quickly. Suddenly it's 25 minutes. I think, oh, okay, I wasn't quite ready for that, but I'll have 5 minutes and then keep going. So if you're somebody who struggles to keep your focus, I'd recommend trying the Pomodoro method. I tried to touch on this this afternoon, things that come under these 4 Ps. Perform, process, present, and productivity. And productivity. Perform. So ask yourself, what do you need to perform to be at your very best on that task? If you've got a big chunk of work coming up tomorrow, one thing you need to perform is a good night's sleep tonight. You don't want to be drinking lots of coffee tonight so you can't sleep. Do you need to go for some exercise in the morning to put you in a good frame of mind? Do you have everything to hand that you need to be able to perform at the best for that task? You're not going to focus on something if you've got to write a report, but you haven't got the financial data you need from such and such a department. Make sure you've got everything you need to perform at your best. The second P is process. Focusing on what you have to do to the best of your ability without worrying about the outcome. Now, this is a really interesting one. This is when you allow yourself to work through a task and you stay in your moment with it without necessarily focusing on a perfect outcome to it. So say, for example, you're writing a blog post, you've got to write, say, 1,000 to 1,500 words on a topic. This process would be focusing on the content that's coming out as you're writing it rather than the word count at the bottom of your screen. Going through the process and allowing your brain to step into ease and flow. When you get into that flow mode, you are so productive. That's where we want you to be with your work. The third P is staying present, staying right in the present and not worrying about what may have happened in the past or may be coming up in your day or your week, really trying to maintain that focus on the task in hand. And productivity involves focusing only on those things and blocking out the distractions that will enable you to be the most productive you can be. I'm a true believer that if we are focused, productivity will come. If we can manage our distractions and learn how we focus best, then productivity will come from that. Holly says, best thing I ever did was deleting my email app from my phone. Genius. Means she checks it less and she can focus on replying to emails at planned times during the day. So good. So good, Holly. I love that. And slotting in, say, half an hour every day at a time that suits you for inbox management. So helpful. Get rid of those distractions. I love that.
E all'1:30 clicchi su questo.
all'1:30?
No, all'1:30 clicchi su questo.
Oh, I think somebody's not on mute. If you could make sure that your mic's on mute, please, until the Q&A at the end, that would be amazing.
Quando non puoi parlare, ok?
Next thing I am going to talk about is building healthy habits. And this is going to build up to me encouraging you to take a habit audit, which I'm sure is something you never knew you needed in your life. So I'm just going to, how do I minimize myself here? There we go. The way that we work, the way that we focus is based on our habits, as is everything in life. I'm talking about work habits today. And I want to ask you, when was the last time that you analysed your personal working habits? So the way that you work, what you bring to work, how you feel about it, all of those, the routines, I guess, and the rituals that you are in when you work. Have you reflected on your team's habits lately? Habit audit can be a really useful tool to analyse how you focus and to provide an opportunity to make measurable changes. And I'm going to share a habit audit that I use with clients now. And as I said at the start, I will send these slides around to Saoirse, and I know she'll share it with you after, so you could work through this then. But as I'm talking to you, just ask yourself, you don't need to tell me, but just have a think about these things. It's split into 8 sections, and it's all about your personal work habits, but it could apply to your team as well. So ask yourself, we can talk about diet. What foods give me the right energy for my working day? What food or drink makes me feel tired? How can I make it easy to establish and keep good habits around what I eat? How can I make it more inconvenient to eat unhealthy foods or drink too much coffee? Exercise. How can I build more movement into my working day? How can I make sure I take breaks and get some exercise? Can I build more movement into my commute? And what types of exercise do I enjoy? And can I make it a more regular habit? And talk about stress. What are my main sources of stress? Which stressors can I do something about? What can I do to recover from stressful feelings? Am I getting enough sleep? Relationships. Which relationships at work make me feel stressed or anxious? Be honest with yourself with all of these, please. Does anyone drain my energy? How can I avoid feeling drained or stressed when interacting with certain people? And is there a way I can change the dynamics of a relationship by behaving differently myself? Obviously, these are all professional questions, but I truly believe that by being reflective, it's such a good way to make progress. And do I need to increase my understanding of others and how they like to work? Really good if you manage a team. Looking at your own workload now, am I clear about my priorities? Are there any tasks I don't usually need to do at all? Is there anything that can be delegated? Pop that on a post-it note on your monitor, please. You can ask yourself that a lot. Are there any tools which would minimize my workload? And am I organized enough to be clear about what needs to be done each day? Think of that tip I shared about taking it out of your mind. Am I realistic about what can be achieved each day? That is really interesting. There is a free app or website called Toggl, T-O-G-G-L, there's no E on the end, which you can use to time yourself on certain tasks, literally stop and go, and you can categorize them. Very, very enlightening when you see exactly across your day, week, month, quarter, and year, what exactly it is that you are spending your time on. Very, very useful tool that is. Great for a team as well. Habits. Are there any habits I have which are unhelpful? For example, checking social media too much, drinking too much coffee. Can I try replacing them with more helpful habits? How can I make it easier to keep to those new habits? For example, buying healthy snacks to take to work, switching off your phone, or blocking time-wasting websites. All these things are intentional actions to boost your work habits. And fulfillment of your job. Remember I mentioned about enjoyment, so important at work. Finding joy in your work every day is so, so important. Your focus will help you with that. Am I in the right job? There's a question for Tuesday lunchtime. Do my values align with what the company is aiming to do? Am I using my skills? Am I spending much more time alone or with other people than is ideal for me? Do I feel like I am progressing towards something? Am I learning and developing in my career? And lastly, number 8 in the work habit audit, your work environment. What are my main distractions at work and how can I minimize them? Be honest with yourself. Can I be flexible about where I work? Perhaps moving to different locations, all of that sort of thing. Can I save time on commuting by working at home or somewhere nearby? And can I make small changes to make my work environment more comfortable or productive? So as I said, this will all come out to you. Please feel free to share it with your team or a colleague if it is helpful. I just think by being reflective and honest, it can really help you to be intentional in making any changes. And when you've answered these questions and you may make a couple of edits to the way that you work, it just feels really positive. And I think that positivity and that bit of oxytocin really boosts your focus in itself. So as I said at the start, I am an OBM, an online business manager. And if you would like to learn more about how you can work with me, I do offer a 90-minute strategy session over Zoom where I support you to move from feeling overwhelmed to feeling quite streamlined. So that might look different for different industries, but often I would sit with you and look at your diary, look at time blocking, see how I can support you to work smarter, not harder. So that might be recommending certain project management, digital tools and things to manage with your team. If you are interested in that, my details are down the bottom.